Good morning, I'm here. Good morning. I'll get rid of my face so it's more better reception and sound at the moment too.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Whangamatā Community Board meeting. First of all, attendance and apologies. Any apologies? Nothing, Chair. Coming forward, Ian, I understand you're up first. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you, just want to give some advice that the Whangamatā Stormwater Action Group are going to hold 2 public meetings over the holidays, just to see the progress to date. I've advised council this about a month ago. They released the flood modelling on Friday, and they had a council meeting last week about the first 5 priority works. And there's going to be some roll-ups and things here. So we're going to try and work them together so that the PowerPoint I'm presenting, I've already got it mostly done ready for Christmas. They're going to have access to that, add their comments if they want to come and attend. It's going to happen. There is welcome to come. CB welcome to come. Just a bit of progress. We've had 6 workshops so far. Now, there's a little bit of this is sad for me because I asked the CB to take ownership of appointment of the stakeholders. That wasn't done. I did ask for an independent person to do that. Wasn't done. At the last workshop, I got challenged because the CB hadn't appointed me. And why am I part of the workshops any longer? Now, I'm part of the workshops because I've got a bit of enthusiasm towards it. I've got a bit I can offer, and I feel like at least myself and Rob and Eric have actually contributed significantly to the progress that we've had to date. So I'm still a bit disappointed in what's going on. Council released the 1% AEP stormwater model. We had seen that in an earlier workshop, but only in individual slides, but now it's up on Smart Maps, so it's really good. Look, everyone should have a look at it because it's showing the flood modelling exactly onto all properties, so you can have a look. Now that flood modelling is a 1% AEP. Now the article came out and said that we haven't had that, but we have actually had them. We claim to have at least 2 a couple of years ago in 2017 we had one. So in the lower hub have taken a position of a 1 in 250, but we're taking a position of 1 in 100, although the pipe model is 1 in 50, so we aren't actually catering for that flood yet in the designs. Now, I've also been told that the building department have got their own improved flood model version, so they can drill down into the sections a lot easier. But what's disappointing is that they are still allowing buildings to be built with FFLs or floor levels below the crown. If you just drive down Ocean Road opposite the Pacific Apartment Centre, there's 2 going in there, or 2 on one section, another one on the other one. I think it's 415 and 419. Both of those buildings, FFLs are still below the road. One is claiming there's a flow path behind them, which there is not because Graham Road interferes with it. And the other one says that it doesn't flood, so they're allowed to do it. Now, they can still do this, but it comes under section 73 where they take full responsibility, not council. So that needs to be tidied up at council level. Yesterday, I received an email of the group that their 6 projects have been approved. Now, I have a little issue with this. I met with council yesterday about it. We're at loggerheads about how we're going to get how those 6 projects got chosen. We're all asked to put in our ideas, but we haven't seen how they got aggregated and put into the 6. It's almost irrespective of which 6 we choose, except for in 2003, when Opus did their reports, there was 26 streets that were getting flooded. They're not being included in priority. So this is something that council and community board need to sort out. So one of them is Hetherington Road. Now, Hetherington Road starts off with 675 diameter pipes at the discharge down by the marina and up to 375 millimetre diameter up here at the roundabout. So to increase the capacity of the flow rate out from the business district, that's all going to have to be increased, which means that Hetherington Road will be shut down for months and months and months. We've just had COVID, we've just had the storms. We cannot allow the business district to be punched this way. Port Road is, Port Road is only probably about 60% as long. It'll be a lot cheaper, it's higher, and we've got a wide road there. We can easily divert that. So we've got a few things. Williamson Pond, there's been some water testing done. Now, unfortunately, Watercare have not put in there the limitations of exceedance of nitrogen and phosphorus. I've done my own research. The levels that came in, the nitrogen is 1/100th of the danger level for contamination, and the phosphorus is 1/300th. It's concentrated. So the testing needs to be done in Otahu and went with rivers in first flush, and there at first flush and see which is the more polluted before any concept of wetland or treatment is required. It's just a nonsense situation to say we need to treat road water when we're getting Wentworth and all those storms polluting them. Right, anyway, so that's about it for me. I prepared a little stormwater toolbox. What I asked for, when the modelling, flood modelling was released, is that a toolbox of solutions gets put up online so people know how to actually deal with the bad news they've got, that they've now got flooded properties, because they've got to deal with their insurer, they've got to deal with selling their properties. There needs to be some way forward. So council will agree to receive that, and we might see a bit of that in December. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Ian? Thank you, Ian. Appreciate it. Brandon Fletcher.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You have 5 minutes.
So, should have be good enough time.
Yeah, we've got some brochures. Is it? Am I helping?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, sure. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Start by introducing myself. My name is Brandon Fletcher, partner here.
I'm Jackie.
We moved up to Whangamatā just over a year ago from Mount Maunganui. We both work full time. I work for Marius Lloyd Construction.
I work for the Bay Plains Regional Council as a customer advisor. I just run remotely from Whangamatā.
Yeah, and just a few months ago, we decided to start a new business venture, running a mobile wood-fired sauna, and we partnered up with the sauna project that are based out of Mount Maunganui. So
Yeah, the sauna project started in Mount Maunganui with 3 colleagues that they wanted to have a sauna and they just couldn't find any options or any accessible options, so they decided to start this business and just build saunas on trailers. And we met them through one of our friends and realized there would be a really great opportunity for us to partner with them and bring this to the community in Whangamatā.
points there, so a few bullet points we'll just quickly go over, try to keep it short and sweet as possible. But yeah, just with our experience through applying for a starter's license at the beginning of August or late July through TCDC, we got it approved in about a month and a half, and we applied we were looking for a spot that was accessible to the beach. It's a big part of this experience for people to have a sauna and then run into the ocean, cool off, and jump back in. So basically, the only really available option we had was the Hunt Road Car Park, which is the bar car park. All the other locations only had one allocation for an activity, and they were either taken up by the surf school or the kayaks. So we applied for that spot. It was approved, and then with a couple of weeks, we kind of just ran into a few issues and stuff, and ultimately the council has asked us to stop operating, but they said they were going to look at Williamson Park as an option for us. So yeah, is there anything else there we need to talk about? So yeah, Williamson Park initially was always our first choice. I tried to apply for that location from the start. We both tried to apply, and unfortunately, just because the surf school was running there, they said we have to look at that option come the next license. And apparently, it's through the community board that ultimately makes the decision to open up another allocation for a license. So in talks with the council and the middle kind of the contractor for the council that we've been dealing with, he said there could be a possibility that the food allocation might be able to be switched over to an activity, or that another activity allocation be open. So we're really hopeful that that can happen, because there's just a few, just compared to Williams Park, compared to the bar car park, Hunt Road Car Park, it's just a much more ideal spot. It's safe. Like, my big thing is safety, because there's lots of rips where the bar is when the swell's up, and even today it's up for a surf getting in there. So I was just worried about people swimming and going to that spot during or after their sauna session, and especially if they're a bit dazed, and coming out of a hot 15-minute ground can be a bit intense. So with Williamson Park there, it's right beside the Surf Life Saving Club. It's more sheltered by Clark Island. It's not as busy. There's a lot of accessible parking in and around that area. And yeah, we're really hopeful that we can get that spot in the near future and continue operating again.
We've only operated for a couple of weeks, but we've had over 160 people. Over 160 people come to the sauna, and we had absolutely incredible feedback from every single one of them. So we do, everyone was really upset when I had to stop operations, because it's just a lot of people said that the highlight of their week to come to a sauna and unwind and just relax. So I think we both think it's an amazing business to have for the community, and yeah, we're really appreciative if we consider.
Yeah, and that should be it. I mean, our whole thing is just make it accessible and affordable to the community. We charge $20 an hour for a session, and that's same with across all the other saunas around the North Island. We're the 10th sauna, and we're pretty keen to be successful here, and the community enjoy the space. But
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I've got a question here. Hi. Well done. First of all, I think the content's fantastic. It's innovative and certainly a community interest. And some clarification around the concessions. Normally a concession on site is if it's the same type of event, like 2 surf schools, we keep one per area. Yeah, so yours doesn't fit in that criteria, so I can't see why we can't consider Williamson Park as the right place to do. And I understand we're looking at Hunt Road, it's a pretty busy, sort of a small area, a lot of congestion, things like that. So I'm sure the board will look at it and discuss that issue. Is that right? The concessions around on the reserve is based on that particular activity. So we don't have 2 of those activities on that concession. We'll have different concessions for different activities on the same.
At Williamson Park?
Anyway, all the reserve.
Yeah, so the board allocated either a food spot or an activity spot, or both. So Williamson Park, there was a food and activity. So the activity's already taken up with the surf school. So there's the food spot left. So that's what they're saying, is they've changed the food to an activity. But you'll be discussing that this afternoon.
Yeah, I think because this is out of the left field a little bit, sort of not either one of
We'll
those.
discuss that this afternoon with the parks team.
But there's no law that would stop it.
No, we make that decision.
Right, good.
We've also we've spoken to Mauro, which is the person that holds the license for the kayak sailors,
The surf school.
and the surf school, sorry, Alan's American, yeah, he said, I said to him that we would bring this idea to the board to potentially be able to operate with them. And yeah, he was more than happy because I didn't want to have a conflict with his business. So yeah.
Yeah, so
Cool.
presumably this is just for one sauna.
Yes.
Yeah, just for one sauna.
So
Yeah.
we'll be probably the only, at the moment, we're the only public sauna accessible.
Yeah, but it sounded like it was going to be a real successful business, so then you'd be looking for 2 or 3.
No, we'll just keep it to one. I don't think it will get
It
that
was just,
busy. because-
yeah, they only do one sauna per town or
Right,
city,
yeah,
so
right, cool.
that would be the only sauna project in Whangamatā would be that
Yeah,
now.
but I think it's great. I've been down to Garrett's and seen it down there.
Oh,
Nice, yeah.
yeah, they offers us to be there for a little while.
Yeah, it's good for now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Adrian, good morning. Adrian. Andrew, sorry, Andrew. So, okay, Margot. Margot Nichols. Thank you, Margot. Good morning.
Morena. Kia ora tātou, Chair Ryan, board members, councillors, community and staff. You may recall that I presented to you last month in the beautiful Aputuri Hall. I'm sorry that you chose not to come back, but please do come back again for your board meetings. We'd love to have you there. You may recall that the issue that we raised was around the concern that we had of not being able to, of the hall not being fit for purpose for the community need, the requirement that we realise now that we can only have 50 people in the hall without a building warrant fitness. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to give you an update of what's happened over the last month. So thank you for your time last month. We've got some good news. We have just had a very productive meeting actually with Dean Taylor and Brian Taylor and Dean Allen, and are working on a plan together, which is great. The issue has been elevated from the property team up to the executive leadership team, and they're hoping to have a meeting next month, which Brian's leading. So there's definite need for community need for those numbers to be increased. The hall has been operating for 60 years and is often used for more than 50 people. We've had a beautiful memorial service actually 2 weeks ago at the hall, and it was really tricky, talking about that 50 limit. We've got so many bookings coming up where those numbers are going to be an issue, and we've actually had huge support from the community. In fact, our committee has been unanimously re-elected as well, so we're on a good flow. In fact, we even had a little bit of maintenance done since you were in our hall last month. The property team removed a few rotten boards and stairs, which was great because someone's actually come up from the community in the last couple of days and have incredibly offered a generous offer to paint the exterior of the hall for free. So people are really getting behind this hall, and I suppose one of the reasons I'm submitting to you today is to say, please, TCDC, can you support us and the community board? There will be proposals that will be coming to you from Brian and Dean, and we will need your support. And we're working towards a tailored plan where we can work out what we can do legally now and what might take a little bit longer to do. But the need is there now. We've got no time to lose. We're coming into, obviously, we're going to have an influx of visitors, which you want to have in your community. We've got increased risk for fire. I think most of you know that we've got quite a significant issue at Aputuri with one road in, one road out, and with our poisoned pine trees. So we're really looking and working with Brian and Dean to work out what are the practical things, what's the lighting, how can we fix the doors, what are the things that we can do that if there is a fire, particularly at night, that we can keep the place safe. But we also We don't want people cancelling their bookings. We want people to come to the community. A month ago, we had a 60th there where they had to restrict the numbers and people were coming up, would have been hiring accommodation, eating out at the restaurants, and they couldn't do that because of this restricted number. So we're very excited, but we've got no time to lose. We want to keep the faith of the community and say, hey, we've got TCDC support on this, instead of having to say, they're not sorry, we'd love to have the hall open, we'd love to accept your bookings, but we can't because of this glitch, which actually the law has been around for quite a period of time around this building warrant fitness. It's just something that's really been missed. We appreciate that there are other halls in the area that have a similar issue to this, but actually our hall is ready to go. You've invested in building reports. We know what we need to do. It's not a big amount of money for what we need to do. We don't know the exact figures, but Brian has said that his team will work that out for us. And we're thinking it's potentially $10,000. And our committee is totally on board to have the hall safe and used by the community. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Well, one, I guess, in terms of with Brian being, I mean, that you have a plan in place and you hope for that will all be resolved before Christmas, or?
Well, we talked about that this morning, about what could be done before Christmas.
Yeah.
And yeah, we really would like to get the bits that we can do, we would like, and we're really seeking support. We've tried, this issue has been going since April of this year. And to be honest, progress has been really slow. It wasn't until we actually presented to the board that we got a little bit of movement. And then, as I say, we've just met this morning. So it seems to us as a council capacity is quite stretched, but this really is a real priority, a bit of a burning issue for the community. And yeah, community trust is everything. We've got an emotionally safe place for people. Now we just need to have a physically safe place for people.
Do you have any comment on a charge of $165 to TCDC?
About what, sorry?
About your hall charging us $165?
Oh, okay. So our hall, we get from council in our funding agreement, which we're still trying to negotiate, about $5,000 a year. Most of that money actually goes back to the council. So that's rates, insurance, all the things that we need to do. So we need to run a sustainable hall. So we're entirely volunteer-led. We work between us, even as a committee, probably total of 40 hours a week. So it does cost something to run a hall. We're cleaning the toilets, we're putting the power on, we've got internet. So I think that's pretty fair for the council. Did you think it was a little bit high?
No, I thought you shouldn't have charged it at all.
So if we don't charge the council, who would we charge?
See, because you asked us to come out to a meeting there, right?
Yeah.
At your invitation,
Yeah.
as guests, to have our meeting there instead of having it here, and then to be charged $165, it seems like a slap in the face.
Well, I'm glad that you raised that, and maybe we could talk about that. But I suppose when I made the invitation, which was at the submission for the LTP, I saw it as an invitation for the council to support the hall and to use the fabulous facility that we have and the great technology and all those things. So I'm sorry that you saw it as a guest, because we saw it as an ongoing relationship of support, of mutual support.
Okay. Well, let's raise it anyway.
Yeah, no, thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No further questions. Ross Stewart. Good morning, Ross.
Good morning, everybody. Fine, we're in the hat this time, not the Bridge Club. About 12 months ago, Lenny Salt put out the word saying we need an aspirational event for the Coromandel. Things are a bit dire here, so we need to do something. Then I'm a newbie in the area, so I thought everybody I talked to who's been here for 50 years since they were kids, or they've got parents back or something, but they all know all the tracks through the forestry, from here up to Whitianga. There are people who know all the forestry roads and all the places to kayak and all those things. Why don't we put all these things together at no cost? There are existing tracks, just link them all together, give it a name, and I gave it the name the Obsidian Link, and let's look at that. Now, that was 12 months ago. over that period, there's been a lot of developments taking place. We've got a group of about 50 on an email group, and we've talked to the 12 members of the Karakia Collective. We've talked to Raya, the forestry managers. We've talked to DOC both here and in Wellington. We've talked to the Walking Commission, and we've talked, of course, to DCPC. The difficulties we've got for this whole concept are the forest ownership and access through it. Karakia will take over probably 2025. I don't know the details, but that's what Treaty Settlements tells me from Wellington. There's the Kauri dieback with Dock north of Sailor's Grave. There is the private land ownership between that period and the bottom of Hotwater Beach, and there's the private land ownership around Hotwater Beach north to Hahe. Those are areas. It's become a bit difficult. So currently the whole concept is in abeyance. But I thought, well, we've got to do something. I mean, we've got all this information. What should we do next? So I suggested we come up with a thing called the Obsidian Challenge, right? Which is to take the existing routes, but say, put some teams together, have a fun challenge, get from here to Whangamatā on personal power, bikes, kayaks, running, and go up the main roads if we have to. But let's prove it once and have a fun time. And then people might say, this is worth doing on a more regular basis. And then we can start over the next 5 or 10 years developing the Obsidian Link. The broad outline of the link was to pare it right down and say, have either elite competitors doing it on their own. It's 92 k's from here to there, and they can do their run, high kayaking, or whatever it is. Or you can have relay teams. And I was suggesting teams of, say, 6 people. There might be grandmothers, daughters, and granddaughters challenging grandfathers, sons and grandsons. There might be the fire brigades, Huratawa Fire Brigade in Coromandel. It could be all sorts of things. There could be community boards challenging other community boards. That would be interesting. They wouldn't all do it themselves, but there would be support people, for example. Well, you might have an old person going from the town square here down to the wharf, but then there's a support group there holding their kayaks, waiting for someone else to get on board the kayak. They'll go across. Our support crew will go, or the support crew will go and bring it back, and all those sorts of things. Like the coast to coast. Coast to coast has support teams that support all these kayakers and so on. That was the first thing we thought. That was the challenge. So that's one concept. The other concept, I said, okay, why don't we do a top town event here in Whangamatā? And I called it the Obsidiad. So 2025 Obsidiad, which would be people coming along and competing, say, teams of 2 from all the various communities around the Coromandel, taking part in bowls, in golf, in kayaking, in swimming and running, all sorts of things that they could do here. Teams of 2 or so, cut down 9-hole golf, 10 ends of bridge, some tennis and so on. So that was the Obsidian. The third thing is, I reckon, when we looked at the Obsidian Link name, Paradise Trail, Paradise Walk, there's lots of those around the world. Paradise Coast, I don't like it. I think we should rename and rebrand the place the Obsidian Coast. It's a different name. We can put a whole lot of bits and pieces on there. Coming up with some ideas. These are ideas. And the last thing is, I think any surplus that came from these events should go to the seniors, supporting seniors in the Coromandel. The reason for that is every event we bring people into the Coromandel supports wage earners and business owners and so on. So only the building owners or business owners who are seniors get any benefit from those. Otherwise, all the money flows into the pockets of the owner. Sorry, guys. And I think once in a while, we need to have some surplus that flows back to helping support seniors in terms of buying equipment for their cards, buying something for the mahjong, all those sorts of things. 1 minute. And that's all I've got to say. I mean, any questions?
I just want to say that I think it's a great initiative. City Link. Obviously a few challenges underway, and and to have a challenge over a shorter length and generate some new activity in the town. It's really great. So, thank you, well done.
We did think of the areas such as we should do some ads.
Yeah, I read those.
Some of the ads, I reckon, teaser ads, which should go in the magazine, in the newspapers and so on. So people say, what is this? What is that? So on. And take it forward. So we set up an email address, set up a bank account and everything. Even have, I'll find the right place, QR codes so people can scan them to send either texts or emails. So we can do all those things. So what do we go from here? We probably need someone to come along and say, good idea, let's do something rather than listening to Ross talking about it all the time. It's just one person and we need some help. The community board may say, it's a bloody good idea, let's do something and take it on.
Yeah, I just got I think you get the prize for the most aspirational projects. I'll give you that. So in terms of for your next steps with the community board, are you looking some support around steps to push it forward, or are you looking for council to give you some support verbally to it or written? What's the next step?
It's hard to know. My initial thought was we would do some teaser ads and we need about $900 or something to put 6 lots of ads in the local Whangamatā news. I've got cousins who are heavily into orienteering. I've talked to Ryan Thompson, the adventure race. We reckon we can do it without too much support to get it going on the first go. Just a lot of moral support. We would probably need from the council photocopying support. You might need some help with traffic management, although we're going to run it as a non-event. So people would leave here at odd times, so there's no requirement for traffic management up the roads. It's quite airy-fairy at the moment. I need to sit down with people and start to go bang, 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 bang.
Well, congratulations on that. We just done an MOU. We're doing one for a river trail from Tyrrell, and that's taken 10 years. So these things start with aspirational things and turn into a great project. So
that's a great idea. That trail is great.
Thanks, Drew.
Just a question. As like the Te Araroa Trail, that started off slowly, but it's really, come into its own. And so would you be looking to get council to try and negotiate with those landowners to try and get, rights of way or some easements, or just to be able to cross the land and, how would you envisage that? Because you want to have a continuous link for walkers, don't you?
Yes, but as you say, things take time. So it might be you have to do from here to Aputeri first.
Yes.
Or then up to up to Pawanui, both of which theoretically through forestry land, rockland. But yeah, negotiations. But it is going to take time. I mean, I notice the Aputeri Hall has taken us a wee while to get things done. I think that should be a bit quicker. But anyway. But the answer is yes, we would love support, and the more negotiation we do with everybody, that's fine. But it needs to be a win-win for everybody. Even the private landowners may well buy into it when they can see they can put an Airbnb on their property and get people coming along.
Yeah.
Who knows? I'd appreciate any support.
Yeah, thanks, Ross.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. So you've heard our public speakers this morning. So I have that the community board receive the speakers in public forum, including any table material and correspondence. Can I have a mover and
So
second?
moved. I'll second.
All those in favour say aye. Aye. Carry. Thank you. Item's not on the agenda.
Yeah. Last time I raised a matter about a town crier. That's not anywhere that I can see, and I don't want it to disappear. I think it needs to be at least discussed, and later I would like, I thought from the last meeting that Eileen was going to do a report. Maybe she forgot, maybe it wasn't in the minutes or something, but it's not in the minutes. So I'd like to revisit that, and at some point where it's appropriate, I'll move a motion that we do that, and then something has to get done, right?
Could that be done this afternoon?
We can have a discussion about it this afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other items not on the agenda?
I do, Chair, the motion is going to carry the motion or?
Okay, we moved the motion. Have you got a second?
Having said that,
Terry,
we need to, no, just, no need to, but we're going to discuss it.
thank you. All right, conflict of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest? No. Thank you. Minutes for confirmation. You've all read the minutes from our last meeting.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about town crier in those minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, please.
Yeah, it's very clear that we mentioned at the last meeting.
It was a networking.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I don't.
So the motion is to accept the minutes of the Whangamatā Community Board meeting for the 9th of September. Can I have a move and seconder, please? Seconder? I'll second. All in favour, say aye.
No.
Carried. Thank you. Retained earnings requests. The Whangamatā Community Board receives a retained earnings request. Whangamatā Community Swimming Pool of Whangamatā Information Centre report dated the 23rd of September. It's one recommendation. The other recommends the council that the request of $46,025 from the Whangamatā Community Swimming Pool will be approved for the pool's capital works project from the Whangamatā Community Board retained earnings. The third one recommended to council the Whangamatā Information Centre request be declined as the Whangamatā Information Centre already receives annual operational funding from council. Are there any discussions for this motion? Can I ask for a move and seconder for that to be discussed, please?
I move that we discuss this.
Seconder. Thank you. All those in favour?
Yeah.
Thank you. Open for discussion.
Yeah, so first of all, I'd like to talk about the pool. The community board did approve funds if they were available to retained earnings. There's also just been additional work that's been done at the pool, and that has come through. Is it in this? It's not in this.
Received, in fact, I've only received 46.
We can include it if we want to. We know the number.
But I haven't received anything, so I don't know the number you're speaking of, sorry.
So there was no information from the pool around the extras that went through?
No, Rob spoke at the public forum, but I haven't actually received anything.
Right. Okay, well, let's maybe for another discussion. Maybe. So,
We can do, or can we discuss it now, Dave?
yeah, can we raise this?
Or Rob might be able to help us out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do, at that last meeting where we did talk about the retained earnings and that there was an extra cost, I think the figure that I gave was $18,000.
Yeah.
That's when it stands. I didn't realise that I should have probably forwarded a formal request for that. But that's where we're at the moment. The one additional expenditure of 18 grand that we saw that meeting on the 10th of September.
So this number in here was 67, which is 46 plus 64. Yeah. So this number in here is not.
Because of the 18,000, we were requesting now 64,000.
To go on top of the 46.
On
No,
top.
no, so you're requesting another 18,000
Yeah.
on top of the 46, that will be 64,000.
54,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just saw something here 67. I don't know why it was written. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I would like to move, that we cover the cost of the pool. We've seen the work that's going on there by this group. It's fantastic. It's always like these big projects come up with some extras. We know that. Contingency is always in place that we needed to cover. So I would like to move that we pay the 46,000 plus the $18,000 also requested to keep the pool online for the financial upgrade.
Okay, just,
Through the chair, you already have a motion on the table, which is the staff recommendation. So Terry, are you wanting to put an amendment?
To that, yeah.
thank you. So it's amendment on the table. Or
Yeah, we're going to.
Dean, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, just through the chair. Obviously, ideally, we would have preferred to have had the documents in front of us. But I've just looked at the options assessment. The options in terms of advantages and disadvantages are the same. So you've got the figures, you know the balances, so you're okay with that decision. Okay. Thank you.
In terms of discussion, can I ask Rob another question?
Yeah.
Rob, with this extra 18,000, are there any more likely costs that you'll be seeking from council that you are not aware of or are aware of, but they haven't been billed yet, or?
No.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll just finalise and bring about the opening of the pool.
This, we've done that work. That had to be done. We're just in the final processes today of just fixing up one extra piece of work that we have to do with results of the concrete work. That we're negotiating that with the contractor, but by and large, this will complete everything we need to get done to get the pool open. The pool will open regardless. I mean, we will make it work, but the extra 18,000 will make a big difference to our balance sheet.
And I really, just to speak to that through the chair, is I would really like to see if the pool committee finds are in another hole, that they have the willingness to come back to the board and discuss it. But at the moment, I'm hearing what Rob's saying, he thinks he's pretty right. But this is a major project that obviously things do happen, but they're right near the end of it. So, yeah.
Dennis.
Just a question. At the moment, you're asking for the 46, and I think we give you it's 80,000 a year for operational costs. The pool hasn't been operating for quite a few months. Does that mean the operational cost money's just been put aside and sitting there, or that been spent as well?
The operational part, that money's still sitting there to kick off when we start.
Okay, so for the time it's been shut down though, would that not have been saved, and that could perhaps be used now instead of the 18? Or?
It's a good question. It would still be needed in full.
Some is the
because we've had less income. Now,
yeah,
they do offset.
I think my thoughts on it. I mean, it's a project that's gone over budget, but there's a lot of projects. I think the certain clubs $300,000 over, so they're going to come asking as well. We've got to be careful where we spend the ratepayers' money. But I think if you said that, you're hoping that's the last bit of it. Thoughts?
Through the chair, I'm going to take a step back and just look at the retained earnings. Is there any doubt that we can use this money? Oh.
You can use the retained earnings for this.
Even though there's a clause in which there's discussions around new strategy which limits the use of retained earnings in an out-of-cycle manner.
Dean, can you speak to that?
Yeah, and so in terms of retained earnings, you'd be making a recommendation to council. It would be up to council on the decision around use of retained earnings. Now, the council has generally supported or has a history of supporting requests from the Whangamatā Community Board in that way. There were some discussions around last year about having some policy work around retained earnings to help guide boards, but that work hasn't been done yet, so the policy's not there. But we just flagged that because there could be a discussion for Gary and Terry around the council table.
And so I don't want to take away the support for the pool committee and looking after Paul, but this retained earnings came, as I understand, came about because of activities or works that weren't completed in the last financial year. And should they still be done? We don't know what, there's $100 and something thousand to follow the money. What didn't we do? Or they just, so a lot of it to the chair. Sorry.
Yeah, through the chair. So that's exactly right. Retained earnings is from underspends in
a number of activities. So there won't be like there won't be a single sort of project that makes it up. And each year, if a board area was to overspend or underspend, that's where the retained earnings comes from. So it's only under for your board area. So there is a risk that if you were to use all of your retained earnings and have projects that went over budget this year, that you wouldn't have that available to you. But that's for you to bear in mind. But you do have the ability to make that recommendation.
Yeah, through the chair, I think a similar question I emailed Eileen yesterday, just asked for clarification on retained earnings, and was explained the same thing. There's no policy as yet. I think it's something that should be looked at, guidance for us in the future of decision making, especially when you've got retained earnings there. And we've got projects around the community like the fire station park that we've all wanted done. There's no money there, whether it can be used for stuff like that. So I think down the track through the council that we should look at the guidance thing for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so the amendment was for 64,000, is that correct?
Yeah, so
Okay, so
we
that
move that separately. No,
Yes, through the chair we did. Was it 64,000 acres
yeah, 64,000.
and 025? Was it including the X-ray 18?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the motion on the table is to increase the money for the swimming pool to $64,025 to assist with the completion of the pool. So all in favour, or can I have a mover and seconder for that?
Through the chair we did.
we've done it.
Right, thank you. So all in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Okay, so before you go on to the next one, I just need to let the board know that with that 64,000 coming off your 120, you now only have $56,612 left in your retained earnings. And you have got some other community projects talking this afternoon.
Thank you for that. So the next item is in relation to the information centre. So the council recommends that the information centre request be declined for the Whangamatā Information Centre already received annual operational funding from council. Are there any discussions in relation to this motion?
Yeah. Has the funding agreement been signed?
Kirsten is online. Kirsten, has that funding agreement been signed with the information centre?
Was it extension?
She's saying hi, not received yet.
Not received. Okay, so they haven't signed the funding agreement.
Yeah. So I think through the chair, they took an extension of the agreement so we could go through this discussion. So, yeah, I'm looking at comment. So I'd like to speak in favour of the community, the information centre. It's one of our 4 key assets in town, and we've found out this funding model works to perform that duty. The 2 paid members is what it needs to make the thing work. It's the same structure as the library, which is 2 paid members. You'll see also that the other 2 information centres are upping their number. The 10th information centre's got another $50,000 added to their 54 to make it 100,000. So they're finding the same things, and I'm sure when you see Whitney Whittianga's tourist rise, these will go up too as they need more and more activity around the towns. So I'd like to move a motion that we take 15,000 out of the grant fund and $15,000 out of the retained earnings, that makes $30,000, and still keep some of the retained earnings for the future.
Discussion, please.
Through the chair, we need a seconder for that.
Is there a seconder for that?
So the motion will lapse.
Yeah. Right, thank you.
I've just got a couple of questions.
Sure.
I had a quick look through the presentation we've had here. I, for myself, did a couple of calculations. They said they had 9,325 people walk through, and we give them $80,000. So that values out at $8.57 per person that walks in there that we're funding it, which is quite a lot of money. The other way I looked at it, you know, those 13 weeks, they've got to be open for 44 hours, and then 39 weeks, it's 22 hours, works out a total of 1,430 hours. So at $80,000, we're funding at $55 an hour for a person to stand in there. I think it's quite a lot of money. If we go back to the original $54,000, we give it still $37 an hour to stand in there, which I think is decent money to stand in an information centre. So yeah, I think the $30,000 once again out of retained earnings is probably too much for what we have left.
Yes.
But, well, another question, I guess, to Terry, and the information that the other centres get top-ups, that's not given to us in the presentation that we've got here, where it says it lists the funding for the various places, and for Whangamatā it lists 52,000, then it talks about the 30,000 that's going to increase it, but we don't get that information for the other places. So where does the funding come from for those other places?
Well, the Thames one came out of their own fund. They've got a fund that it's called the Land Reserve Fund. And they've got money that they can borrow to do that. So we don't have that facility here.
I understood, Terry, that money, the $50,000 to the Thames one, was for alterations to the building, not for operation.
I don't know exactly what it's for.
Somebody confirm that.
They also took another, the business association has taken it over, and they got another $97,000. They took it off, owned that for a year as well. That's under the business association.
Yeah, through the chair, I can confirm that the Thames report, as I understand it, and I'll get it up just to check out, is funding from the Thames Urban General Purpose Reserve, commonly called TUGPA. It was around 50k, and it was for the fit out of the building, because at the moment the building is a shell, so it's a new information centre, and so it's for, you know, desks and bits and bobs for that. Yeah, it was a fit out in accordance with it being a new building, and also to meet some Thames branding objectives from a Thames branding project.
Through the chair, did they not get some money also through the business association, $26,000?
I'm not sure of
that. That through the LTP.
Yeah, I'm not sure of that. I could.
Because the business association is taking over the running of the information centre.
Yeah. Kirsten, are you online? Are you able to confirm what Terry's just asked?
Hi, that's the first time I've heard of that. Maybe the business association were funded 26,000. I have not heard that money was for the information centre. I believed it was for the business association, but we can check.
They're running it. Is that right, Kirsten? The business association is fronting the information centre?
They are, as a separate part of their business.
Yeah. Anyway, what the point is that this is and I hear what Dennis is saying with the numbers, but this is a business that focuses on providing information mainly to our non-resident ratepayers and about 10% of overseas guests. It's important that they are the face of the town, and when people come to town, they want to know what's going on. So you have to have people in there, just like the library, you have to have people waiting there to serve customers, provide the information. So I think this is a key asset for town that it will be a disappointment to see it not functioning in the way that it works.
So Kirsten, just another question. I see in the books here, there's funding from the council which pays for the staff. The information centre has obviously stock and stuff they sell and tickets and all that. that doesn't show in the books. Is there any information there of how much it turns over on top of the funding?
I don't have that information. I have queried it, but have been told that's run through a separate business. So I don't have that information. I'm sorry.
So we don't know how much.
Well, yeah, it's in the other income. You've got TCDC grants, other income, interest, $519, total other income, $519. So it's just, they haven't sold anything.
Well, sorry. I did check yesterday with Diana, and she said that the funding that's received from the things they sell in the information centre is actually run through a separate business, so it's not put through the information centre. So I don't have that information.
So we're running two businesses from the information centre.
But that could be, I don't know, it could be $2,000 or it could be $20,000 more on top of generate. So without that information, it's probably hard to make a decision.
Kirsten, is that acceptable for a second business to be run from the information centre? I thought there was something in the contract in relation to that.
I only got this information yesterday, Dave, so I have queried it. I can get back to you all.
Is that I think through the chair that all the information centres have stock or other activities that they do to support the information centres. Pawanui does it, Toro does it.
That's correct, and it's they state that as an income in their financials.
Helps the place work. Absolutely.
That's correct.
Okay, so the motion that we have is that motion 3 is recommends to council that Whangamatā Information Centre request be declined as the information centre already receives annual operational funding from council. So we've had a mover and a seconder for that to discuss it.
No, we haven't.
Oh, okay. So mover and seconder, please.
Yeah.
Neil.
This is the move for declining. Yeah, so I'll second that.
Dennis, all in favour? Aye. Against? Carried.
Recorded, thanks.
Thank you. CAPEX work program. So, community board discuss the CAPEX, receive the Whangamatā Community CAPEX work program 24-25 and other operational information updated 1st of October 2024. And I move and second for this to be discussed.
I'll second.
Thank you. Move and seconded. We got to talk on this. Lorenzo, is it?
No.
Oh, Lorenzo. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and community board members. Luke Archibald, Program Manager for Capital Delivery. As you'll see in the report, we're back to the standard sort of layouts now that you'll see for the rest of the year. And as discussed at last meeting, we've kept the delineation with those blue banners by delivery by which team. What you'll see is a bit of a theme for project delivery around procurements for the bigger projects. So that's kind of the phase we're in with a lot of the bigger projects at the moment. I noted last time there was a bit of interest in the dump station. Live update this morning is that the pour is happening this week. So construction is well underway.
Good news.
Open to any questions you may have.
Some questions. Good, Chair.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, so with the dump station and also the toilet blocks, we say that they were going to be done as one contract.
So the dump station was separated out so we could get onto that straight away, and that was a direct point to the local contractor that's right next door to the location of the dump station.
PPL.
Yep. The toilets themselves, because we've got a number of them around the district, were grouped together as a single procurement process.
Okay, so under the dump station, where it's scope of work, where it says that we delivered it as a single project, that's really not correct. But that's mine, but I just wanted to make sure the dump station is up, is being built, being constructed. We weren't still looking at a tendering phase, as that sort of implies.
Yeah, so what it's essentially saying is that we're managing the whole as a single project. The sequencing of the delivery of the dump station is separate, and we've contracted that separately.
Understood.
Yeah.
And you see no reason at the moment that the dump station won't be up and running before.
No, as stated, they're pouring the concrete this week.
Yeah.
That means they're right in the middle of construction.
Yeah, but all the mechanical.
And all of the other
mechanics.
Yeah.
I think we should be grateful that the other ones lasted as long as it has, because we're in trouble. Any?
Yeah. Look, it's not for you personally, really, but the toilet block, you've had the money for about 2 years or maybe longer, I don't know, but why has it taken so long? And I mean, you don't know the history of it probably, and I don't know so much about it. I just know that that was approved like a couple of years ago and nothing seems to have happened for getting that done, you know, I mean, especially when you've got your money in the hand, you know.
Yeah, I can't talk to the past because I wasn't here, but what I can confirm is the timeline is really imminent, that it will be delivered within this financial year.
Yeah.
We should have the tender back for those toilets by the end of this month, which means that pre-Christmas we'll have an approved contractor to deliver it. The contract negotiations and all of that side of things will be done. Once you've got that contract in place, their methodology will help us determine the order of execution, and we will have it delivered before the end of the financial year and work around those key hotspots for visitation.
Thank you. Yes, Terry.
Yeah, I'd just like to go to the work program and number one, the stormwater improvement. And first of all, a big thanks to the council and the working group that's going behind this to make this happen. I think yesterday we received letters went out to the people telling them what their situation currently is, and there's some walk-ups happening in later in the year or towards Christmas, which is fantastic, and we'd really encourage all the community board members to be part of that and be able to tell the same story. The bit that I really like also is that the work's going to be commenced in February next year, and they've got some key areas which they're going to focus on first, and really they're going to focus on the outlets first, which pipe size, if you make the inlets big and the outlets stay small, it doesn't work. So they're going to work from the outlets back into the town. So I think there's some really positive stuff. And it's quite sensitive, this stuff, when people look at their place and look at a whole lot of blue, get a bit excited. So hopefully they'll be able to go online and look at their own modelling and see what their place has to offer and we can do in terms of helping. So.
Thank you, Terry. Any other points that want to be discussed? I just have a couple of queries in relation to, first of all, the hall with the wall that they're discussing. Is this our memorial hall here that you're talking about, where on the second to last one, recreational facilities, hall renewal? I didn't identify any of them from the custodian, and it says after the walkthrough of the hall, it was agreed that the height of the partial wall that overlooks the ground floor is not sufficient to prevent the people getting on top of it and potentially falling to a hard surface. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't know which hall that's referenced here.
It will be our Whangamatā hall, and that's the mezzanine floor. Because the wall that's on the mezzanine floor is obviously not high enough to prevent people from falling over the top, because it only comes up to about waist height.
So you're talking about the sides on that side, the back side?
No, on the mezzanine floor. So when you go in, there's the mezzanine floor over the little theatre.
Yeah.
It's that floor that needs to have a higher wall to prevent people from falling over the top.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just the other point, do you deal with the street lighting as well? Is that part of your brief?
So we gather the report together.
Sure.
The roading team is responsible for street lighting. If you've got any queries that I can't answer, which is quite likely possibly, I'll take that away and make sure I get a response for you after.
I just wonder if it would be a good time to look at the type of street lighting that we're using. I mean, they're LEDs, but they're direct light directly down, and it doesn't spread light out. Now, I know some residents complain about light going into their house, but for the purposes of some roads, namely Martin Road and some of the side roads through there, and over on the back, Otahu Road, etc., the lighting is very poor at night. And I wonder whether, since that lighting has been put in for a number of years now, whether there is something better that could be looked at, and ask that be considered.
Okay, I'll take that to the roading manager.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got just one, obviously also around those footpath and renewable lights, there's a funding issue there, isn't there?
Yes.
That's NZTA out funding, and also we're going to fund those completely ourselves now for a period of, is it 1 year or 2 years?
I will check the time frame with the roading manager.
And just while you're here, Luke, under the action schedule, this here's some photos of the corner coming out of town that the chair identified as a dangerous corner of things are falling off into here. We've already sent that off to NZTA a couple of times. David Spears said he'd look into it, then he's moved to obviously the Howring. So we'd like to be able to put that through roading, and maybe if you can follow that up through them and see if we can improve the state corner. This is going out past the transfer station down the hill, and that really tight left-hand corner.
That tight one from there. Are you aware of the?
I'll send you an aerial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The logging trucks, etc., going south actually take out the marker lines, etc., that are there.
Anything they put up.
Yeah, yeah. And there have been a number of crashes prior to. Yeah. Fortunately, nobody has gone down into there, but if they do, it's a pretty good chance it could be a fatal. So I think it was conceded. I sent letters to Transit New Zealand, etc., or New Zealand Transport, and they conceded that it was something that should be looked at and would give it priority. Now that's over 3 years ago now.
I'll take these 2 years.
Yeah.
And he'll have some connections through the NZTA.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Can we ask, with David going, who is the new person?
I don't know this one, but I can find that out as well.
Appreciate it.
If they've appointed something.
Thank you very much.
Dave, this might have to go to Dean, but is there any, you might be able to help too, Luke, any intention to fix the roofing above the library?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, looking at the floor in the ceiling, haven't they?
Yeah, so property have been dealing with that. Yeah, they were arguing about the roof, but the roof is not an easy fix because of all the bumps and hollows.
Yeah.
But we can follow up where the property team are at with that.
Because that will need to go into a plan. It'll be quite expensive, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it will be.
But it needs to be done.
I think
otherwise you're actually diminishing with leaks and that.
So we're hoping, I think, to maybe do some of it in conjunction when the toilet is done. But again, once again, yeah. So we can find that out from the property team where they're at.
It needs to go on that schedule.
I think that should be prioritised before next winter because this has gone on for several years now, and there has been leakages and damage done as a result of it. So it's I think the thinking time's over and it's time for action. So that should be something. Any further comments on the CAPEX?
I'll move.
Second. All right. Moved and second. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. And action schedule. So the action schedule is open for discussion. We received the action schedule report dated the 9th of September. And is there any discussion in relation to it?
Questions?
Sure.
I don't know, needs to be addressed to Tony. The first one about there's heavy leasing of maintenance reserve. The question really is around the temporary accommodation. An update. I didn't recall the update in the email. I'm just wondering whether I got to with looking at,
So the update that I gave you, the board, was that we did look at the other reserves. There were 3 other reserves that we looked at, and they all have the same, because of their reserve status, we'd still have to go down the same track as Mayfair. You'd have to get the status changed. And so I looked at Pataki, Parawai, and Park Avenue. For the ones that were big enough.
big enough to.
Yeah.
But
So basically there is nothing.
just as a before we sort of bit stymied on this action, I'm wondering how we can, and that's probably not the right time to talk about it, but how we can get this back as a focus point for the community board before we really do run out of time.
What's the best way forward?
It seems to me, Dave, that you've got 2 options. You either buy land for temporary housing, or you make the effort to change an unused reserve into a different status so you can build temporary accommodation on it.
And obviously, so second idea would be a lot cheaper.
No, but it's through the chair, it's such a hill to climb.
Yeah.
I think that the board should either take out a loan and buy a piece of land, or sell a piece of land, or swap a piece of land. We asked them to look into the link. It's a piece of land down the road that we could trade off or do a deal on it. I just think like Thames went out and bought a lump of land for the pool, and Mercury Bay's bought land for their civic centre, just bought up houses to suit. I think we should look at this as a way, if we're not going to find it an easy path, we just need to take the hit, borrow the money, go and do it.
Yes, Dick.
Yeah, through the chair, I do agree with the 2 options. Buy the land or go through the plan change process for a piece of land you've identified. But just also a reminder that council has put some money in the budget for spatial planning. And so spatial planning will look at some of those things, but it will also look at what you've got and whether intensification can happen, plan changes within the areas that have already got infrastructure, that type of thing. Although we don't have a clear start date at the moment for that piece of work, it's budgeted.
Which is a bit of a concern, because we have been waiting for this for a long time, as you know, and we had people come over and do the talk, and all of a sudden it's gone cold.
So that's one of my action points for the action plan, is the spatial plan. It was supposed to run start in July. Give us some staffing issues in terms of capacity, but I think they were looking at that. But there's still lots of things we can get underway and talk about. And I just think we'd like to have a strong message back to councils to say we're really keen to make this happen. And let's get on with it.
So does that require a motion or anything for us to get that moved?
Through the chair, you go first.
Yeah, I think through the chair, I think we would record an action that we would be after an update on the spatial planning exercise. I do know that there has been recruitment recently in the policy team, a couple of staff off the top of my head, but there still might be one very short. But they're actively recruiting at the moment.
So I'd like to put a motion on the books today to say community board seek council's action to look for options to buy a piece of land for short-term housing in Whangamatā. And the spatial plan thing will follow on, because it's a long 10 or 15-year process, but we haven't got that long to wait to get this other project underway. There is land that is available that I know down the end of town that's currently on the market, might be suitable, but if we're not in the game, we're going to miss out. So the market's quite soft at the moment compared to previous years. So I'd like to put a motion on the book that we do that support for it, get some action done, to actively look at purchasing a piece of property to suit this.
So we have a mover, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Can I just, point of clarification, just wanting to give what, can you just, do you want support? Are you requesting that through the chief executive that we look at.
That we look at
Options.
land around options around Whangamatā to purchase for a short-term accommodation block for the town.
Okay. It's just that this is a clear information report, so we just want to make sure that we're not doing anything,
No.
no decision making. So that is fine, that motion is fine.
Just, can you explain the process? Would that go to council and the council members formally say, yeah, we agree, the council should buy some land in Whangamatā, and then how does it work?
Well, often in the past, the community's identified a piece of land that's come up.
Yeah.
And they've approached council and talked about how best to purchase it. And often some have gone out and done a loan system. Others have done it in different ways. But yeah, so the council, the community finds a piece of land which council support, and council can come out looking as well. And if it works, it fits the criteria, then we go about doing.
So when you say the borrowing, that's done by council, not the community board as such.
The council will take the loan out on the land that's happened on the park, yeah. And also that the council looks at the viability of the piece of land to make sure it fits for purpose.
Yeah.
And then the negotiations are done.
Oh, you mean fits for purpose like the swimming pool land?
That's a spare bit of land, you know. Yeah, so yes.
Yeah, just through the chair, just want to make sure that this is a request to make spatial planning a priority within the Whangamatā area, so that to allow these discussions to happen.
Yeah. But we really want to fast track the land issue, whereas the spatial plan is a bit of a longer. That's already in place. It's in the LTP to happen. This is really to fast track the looking for a piece of land. The market's right. We need to make this work.
Emphasising that you would like this to be a priority.
Yeah, absolutely. We on board? Understand? Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we are doing everything in
Yeah,
compliance.
Absolutely.
Where,
Yep.
as you know,
You're the boss on that, so that's good. You follow your rules, that's good.
Okay, so
Have we got that motion? Have we got some words?
I want the motion here seeks, the board seeks council to action to buy land in Whangamatā to purchase for short-term housing.
Yeah.
It can be reworded if you've got a.
Through the chair, guys.
Yeah, I'd be uncomfortable with that. Staff aren't in a position to provide any advice to you on X piece of land, whatever we're talking about.
And actively work together.
I understand the intent around trying to progress the plan change and look at options. Definitely understand that, but
it doesn't look like it's going to be a plan change to do this, because the Reserves Act is so difficult. We've been through that. We've looked at all the reserves in detail. And to change a reserve back into another designation is a major piece of work. Whereas this is identifying a piece of land that's private and buying it for the purposes of a short-term accommodation. That seems to me to be an easier track than going through the Reserves Act.
Could I make a suggestion? Buy or even lease land.
Yeah. What do you think?
Buy or lease. It could be something from a community lease like a pen and could be another piece of land. Or that's a good option.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Yeah.
If they're going to be temporary premises, at least, but a land might serve a purpose.
Yeah, all options on the table, absolutely. But it's better than the Reserves Act. As you know, Gary, is quite a major piece of legislative work to change that designation.
Through the chair, the only thing I would point out is if there's a piece of land that's privately owned, then the person who owns that at the moment will have the same checks and balances to actually develop that land as a board might do to go and obtain that piece of land. So
we would take the designated land.
Again, it's really hard to we just can't provide advice on something.
But the landowner might actually want to say, I'll take a 50 or 20-year lease on the land for the purpose of that, if it's designated right. So that I pick up what Gary's saying there. It can be either or, and that might be more suitable in terms of funding arrangements. Have we got some words?
We're just trying to think of some words that's going to make sure that we're keeping the board safe.
The question is how, also how would it be funded? So we're talking about the community board looking to lease or purchase. Because property is a district.
I think community board should own it. We found out that community boards like Mercury Bay own the pieces of land up there, not the council.
But how can I do that? We're not legal, we haven't got legal status to own that, have we?
Community boards own pieces of land. Really? Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
We can spend the four customers.
Yeah, so I'm aware of other pieces of land that have been land banks.
Yeah.
So, you know, but you know, bigger commercial, yeah.
That's funded by the local ratepayers.
It's a local rate, targeted rate.
So the ratepayers fund the purchase, not the district.
So through the chair, the example would be some of the area around Monk Street and
Monk Street and
Mercury Bay and Whangamatā has been purchased by the local community board with a view to having a future civic centre on that site, redevelopment, looking at council offices, other businesses, that there were some principles behind those land purchases.
I think I've got a principle behind it too. We've got a particular project we need to put together. We've tried to search land for the last 8 or 9 years and still haven't found an answer. So this is another unit. If you push the button, ladies, and hold it, wait for 5 minutes, 5 seconds.
Till it clicks.
Maybe if you're still working on that.
Wait.
I can say move to the next button, come back to you.
So it's not complicated. We don't want to complicate it. Well, here's a look.
I've just sent it to Dean.
Right.
And feedback.
I'll wake them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, give them a nudge.
Yeah, so what we're looking at is, obviously it's really hard to request a report without knowing what we're requesting it on. So maybe instead the request should be to the chief executive to investigate and place emphasis on
To seek and put
short-term
land.
Yeah, short-term housing on Whangamatā.
Yeah.
Something on those lines.
Yeah, because we do need to keep it high level. We
Yeah.
don't want you to be locked into something
No.
that, you know,
We're asking for.
not going to be able to come to fruition. So it makes sense to sort of keep it more high level so that you can look at the leasing and the
Options.
other options.
Property will get involved and stuff like
Correct.
that. So read it out.
Yeah, what's it worth?
So it was along the lines of requesting the chief executive to investigate and place emphasis on looking at options for short-term housing in Whangamatā.
And that this should be a priority.
Yeah.
Around Whangamatā.
Yeah, we want
Say
that.
that.
We want the priority in that.
Yeah, we could use
Place.
priority instead of emphasis, place priority.
Yeah.
You want to put it up on the screen, can you share it on the screen?
It's really hard to make things up on, through the chair, it's really hard to make these things up on the fly. Again, the land might not be the option, it might be that there's existing buildings that their use could be changed.
Yeah, but Dean, you've known this has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
So what we're asking you is to make this a request to the chief executive to make some action so we can move forward.
Yeah.
So it's not just like a long-term dream, it's something that we want to see some action on.
Unfortunately, this town, we don't have the option in relation to buildings that probably would be suitable other than a motel.
Which we can.
I don't want to say.
Motel, we buy a motel.
I'll make an offer.
Please head back to
Right.
Blow it up, please, Donna.
Yeah, I'm just following it so I can see it too.
executive to, to prioritise the prioritise purchasing of land is what we're after. Prioritise the investigation, land investigation options for short-term accommodation, but land investigation.
Wanna go that?
Could be.
Yeah, you could probably just leave it at
Okay, yeah.
options.
And you're open to all options if you just have that up. For land, it's your own look land.
To prioritise the investigation of options for short-term housing in Whangamatā.
Investigation, IOE, the
Oh, yeah,
Or to give priority to the investigation.
and you don't need the word place before prioritise.
Yeah. Legal to give priority to the investigation of options.
Yeah, that's right.
Give it priority,
To get.
priority to the investigation of options. And if you want to, you could put which can in at the end, you could put which could include purchase or leasing of land. If you wanted to clarify.
Yeah, keep it open.
But then she got no excuse. Have the options.
And probably have it as a comma, which could, or brackets, which could please time.
Comma and small w.
Yeah, and all of them, yeah.
Options. Widely open.
Well, land would include a building. Now, get the buildings out of the land. And just to be pedantic, you could cross out the word TO2 at the second word.
That one, out of priority?
No, the request.
Oh, request the chief
One's
executive.
request, actually request.
Chief.
Request that chief
Yeah,
executive.
get rid of the first two.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
So what then?
No, that's okay, yeah.
Request to.
Buildings need to be spelled correctly.
Yep. So you just doing it on the fly.
Yeah, no, that's right.
So the motion is, did you see that, Gary, as well? You there, Gary?
I am.
Okay, can you see that motion?
Yep.
Okay, all right, so the motion is a request for the chief executive to give priority to the investigation of options for short-term housing in Whangamatā, which could include purchase or leasing of land and or buildings. So that is the motion.
Yep.
All in favour?
Aye.
And or. It's administrative.
Yeah,
Remove and or.
no, just, stick.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Any other points on that?
I do have a couple more.
Yep.
Just the second one, that item review and the follow-up letter or action or what to make that happen. We talked about it at our networking workshop last time. I saw an email or at least I should go to somebody to make it, to action it to make it happen. Move the premium camping at Island View to.
So Brian will be talking to you this afternoon.
Oh, about that. Yeah.
All right, I've just got one more action point to discuss. I raised this at council and I got was it too hard to do, but I'm going to raise it again at the community board. Traffic management unit that allows us to have events that are controlled by a qualified person that council can support through a managed unit that they have. I would like to again put an action point up there for council to relook at, see if they can find options. Councils around the country are looking at this as well. The government's even asking people to restrict and look at the risk factors involved. These are affecting our events to happen. They just become too costly. I see council could look a bit deeper into this and see if they can find a way forward. Yeah. So it's an action point only, but we seek council to look for ways to allow these things to happen. Even if it was a budget that we had 4 or 5 units, events we could do each year, they knew about it, it was under the management control and new events. Isn't there a criteria to try to base them? That's something that works because currently it doesn't. Yeah. So that can
this. Excuse me, is there any further discussion in relation to the action schedule? Danny.
Yeah, so through the chair, just wanted to clarify, Terry, then looking at something locally rated and funded for that traffic management, are you talking more about looking at a submission to the annual plan for that to be across the district?
Yeah, so what I was looking, first of all, Pinnacles is a contractor that's based in council's chambers and council's business. They could run a unit like this that council could control and management oversight on it. And the other ones that if it's not suitable, then local community board could have a trained person that was available in town to actually put a plan together and hold those events. And that person would be trained through the council's traffic management processes. One of those options is any other one that they come up with, just to try and allow us the facility to run these events without the cost running behind it, which really kills it, quite honestly. And one last one, sorry, through the chair, is that we had a presentation from Regional Council about a transportation system in Coromandel, a bus. We've got the bus stop out here. So they're asking for feedback on this. So if anybody's interested to look at feedback on the transportation, come and get the information that's going on about that.
Nothing further is happening in relation to something coming through here though, is it?
No, but this, what happens is the Whangamatā Regional Council gets money from NZTA, which they manage oversight of it, and they're trying to get a transportation system that is fair for the district from Taupo to Coromandel, that who pays and how much each pay. So in the city, obviously, there's a whole lot more activity around transportation and timing. As you get into the country, it gets less and less. So we're looking for a system that allows proportional payment suitable for the transportation option. What we're really keen to is get something. And they were also talking about working with current local transportation people and engaging them and maybe helping them get into the game to grow the business locally. So it means bus need to come out here. There might be a system here in place that they could encourage to actually pick people up and take them to another hub while here or get into a bus service. It's positive. But, you know.
Yeah, no, I think so. Can you give us copies of that?
Yeah, I'll give it to.
Through the chair, I can send.
Yeah, send
me. Because I'm interested.
That'd be great. Yes, have a look at it. It's a good options there. It's the best I've heard for a while. I'm on the transportation committee, been to a few of their meetings, and they just sort of faded away to nothing. This is a bit more positive.
Yeah, cool.
And even the use of cold cards, how effective it should be, and all those things around that. So
I remember the days when the bus did used to come here.
It was a while ago.
It was a while ago.
Okay, thank you. So we've had our movement seconded. So, is that correct? The movement seconded?
No, not yet.
Movement seconded, please, for the action schedule. Receive the action schedule reported date the 9th of September 2024 with the amendments as shown.
I'll second it.
All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Carry. Thank you. Just in my verbal report, I'd just like to mention the fact that at council meeting, the last council meeting, it was discussed about the pedestrian crossing recommendation that we put in for Aiken Road. It was finally decided with two opposing that the pedestrian crossing would be installed as recommended by the council or by DCDC, and that it be done, of course, in compliance with Whangamatā's requirements for there. So that has been passed through council. And the other thing was also the name of the roading, Horizon Way, which was the option that we put forward, and that was accepted without discussion. So that's been approved as well. The New Year's Eve function at Aiken Road, if people don't know, the Sonic Wave Festival is not going ahead this year, although I understand that the permit that they had, or the licence to do it, is a 5-year licence or something.
They do have a resource consent for 5 years.
So the resource consent conditions, if they comply with them, they could still do that over the period, but it will not be occurring this Christmas that I'm aware of. And I don't know, Kirsty, are you still online or not?
No.
Okay. So I don't know if anybody else has made any recommendation for the town, but that's as it stands at the moment. The fire station playground temporary repairs have been undertaken to permit it to be used as a playground to comply with the health and safety. Is that correct? For the time being, but it definitely isn't the be-all and end-all that is required to do that project properly. And it is a concern, the condition of it and how long it's gone on for. I had on here also to mention about the sauna project causing some concerns with its location, and that's something we are going to address now, so that's good. And the other thing is the delay in the presentation of the Community Services Award, which should have been done this morning. Unfortunately, with that, what has occurred is that the medals have not been made. It's not a TCDC problem, but it's a manufacturing problem. So as a result of that, those presentations will now be made at our next meeting on the 26th of November. So I move that my report be accepted. Go to second, please. Thank you. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you.
Can I raise that? We had this sort of discussion from Ross about the Obsidian Trail. Can we put that on an agenda to sort of take that further for next time or something?
Yeah,
I think it's a good idea.
we should put it on the action schedule, actually. It would have been great.
We can put it, I can invite Ross along to your next networking so you can get
Yeah.
more in-depth discussion on it.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't want to see it present, disappear.
I think the city coast is quite a good idea, actually, isn't it? That's because it's Blackstone right along the coast from the Paradise Coast sort of off a little bit.
Well, isn't Whangamatā place of Obsidian?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see something.
Yes.
Yep.
I was, can I ask a question? Eileen, I did raise it with you this morning. Have you got any idea what percentage of properties are getting the letter saying that they're subject to potential flooding compared to those that are getting a clear bill of health?
Sorry, Gary, I haven't been able to follow that up just as yet, but I will by this afternoon and I can come back to you with that information.
Well, just everyone, it's just an interesting point that how many are affected by that.
I think every property that's on the map that's got some blue around will get a letter saying that they could be subject to flooding, and anything that, like we got our one that says unlikely to be subject to flooding, but we don't want it if you're going to get flooded.
Doesn't say much for Whangamatā.
Unlikely, that's not very clear, is it?
So it's pretty open-ended, yeah.
Through the chair, we did have Kate Selby-Smith with Luke at the work program report. So we know she's in the office, so she might have that information on hand. We can try and find it.
Should be good.
Or we'll look back at the pack from last week and see if it's got information in there.
Thank you. The next item is the public excluded item for discussion. So could I ask the people, members of the public to leave? It should be very short and sweet. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, right, thank you. It's a lovely.
I second it.
I understand. Let's talk. See, this is where we're up to. This is the email I sent. If you got